Greetings everybody, Chris Campbell here in the shop on this late Wednesday evening. It's 9:45. We're fixing to take apart this World War II style Waterbury movement. As you can see, it has a broken mainspring on the time side. So this is the time side and this is the strike side. There's a lot of things wrong with this movement. This thing is going to need a complete restoring, movement overhaul, bushings, and parts to be made. First and foremost, we need to get our mainspring, which is this piece here that's broke. We can do that. It's also missing the crutch that works the escapement wheel, which is this piece here. It's also missing the suspension spring that the pendulum hooks to, so we're going to have to custom make that. The warning gear, this piece here, is broke. I don't know if you can see that, but it is literally broke. It should not be moving like that. It's actually come apart from the arbor. So yeah, it is completely broke. So that's going to need to be riveted back together. The governor is also broke. So we're going to have to fix the governor. And it needs at least 4 bushings. Now this is a Waterbury. So it's about 1942, 1944-ish movement. So we're going to go ahead and start taking it apart. I've already tied off the mainsprings to make it safe so it does not break any fingers. Trust me, I've actually had that to happen before, where I take a movement apart and it breaks the fingers. And that is never good. Alright. Whoop, and we just dropped. There we go. Alright, let's start the disassemble. There we go, okay. So far, so good. And now we just need to work our escapement wheel out. So this is the escapement wheel. Alright, so that's going to go on the time side. We'll leave this in place for now. This is our count wheel, so I'm going to put that over to the side. Alright, so what I want to do is video everything that I'm doing. So the first thing that I'm going to do is remove the governor, and as you can see, the fly broke off, which I knew it was because it's broke, okay? So that's the strike side. Next is the warning wheel that's broke. There's the arbor, and there's the wheel that's broke. Yeah, that definitely needs, oh man, that's bad. Okay. Alright, so we're going to put that over to the side. Next, we'll remove our center arbor, which is the cannon pinion. That's the time. Cannon arbor. Intermediate wheel. On the time side, we'll remove our third wheel. So that's time. Fourth wheel. Center wheel. And now for this one. And that is the broken spring. Oh man. That is bad. That's broke. And here's the other piece. Alright. The hammer. So we'll put that on our strike side. Our strike lever 1. That's the strike side. J-hook. Okay, that's strike side. Cam wheel. There we go, cam wheel. Ooh, that is gummed up bad. And our fourth wheel with the hook. And then our mainspring. Oh, shit. That is not supposed to happen. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Crap. Okay. My, oh, and it cut me. Dang it, I am bleeding. Okay, so my, the thing broke. That's what I said, you have to be extremely careful with these. And now I am bleeding. Oh, dang it, I am bleeding all over the place. This mainspring just came loose. So stay tuned for this. I'll be back in a few moments. Greetings everybody, Chris Campbell here. So tonight we're finishing up this part. This is where we left off at. As you all know, if you look back at my videos, when I removed the mainspring from the strike side, it unwound. It actually broke and cut me. I actually ended up needing about 6 stitches. So yeah, this can be a dangerous hobby. Either way, we're now at the part where we're working on the parts. So now we have our bottom plate, which is going to go through the ultrasonic cleaner. And this is the top plate, which is desperately needing. And as you can see, it is filthy. Alright, so on the time side, we have our great wheel. Our second wheel. We have our escapement. Center arbor. Alright, and then on our strike side, we have the second wheel. We also have our great wheel, and it's right here. We have our J hook, and we also have the warning wheel. This is the one that was broke. We've already now repaired it. I put it in my lathe, turned it down, riveted back the gear to the arbor like it should be. So this is now ready to go into the ultrasonic cleaner. But yeah, when that mainspring unwound and cut me, I mean, it really cut me good. So you have to be extremely careful with these things. This is part 2. What we're going to do now is go ahead and install all of these into our ultrasonic cleaner. Let them clean for about 20 to 30 minutes. Then we're going to do a rinse, a cycle, a drying cycle, and then we're going to polish all the pivots and then start doing the rebuild. So stay tuned for that part. But everything is now coming along quite nicely, even though I did get injured from a clock movement. Alright, stay tuned. Have a wonderful evening. Greetings everybody, Chris Campbell here in the clock shop late this evening on a Thursday. Happy Halloween. So this is the movement for the clock that we're currently working on. As a lot of you know, this is the one that cut me up pretty bad when the mainspring broke. We have not put the plates in the ultrasonic cleaner. That's our next step. But we have put our movement, all the gears, into the ultrasonic, and they turned out great. This is the count wheel. This is the great wheel. And what we have to do is, this clock, I have to say, is a Frankenstein. It is a nightmare of a clock to work on. My goodness. So the backstory behind this clock. The lady dropped this clock off about a week ago. And she wanted it back, ready, and working within 3 days. Well, unfortunately, this clock had tons of issues. One, it was missing the crutch for the escapement. Number 2, it was missing the suspension spring for the pendulum. It also had a broke gear, which we've now completely refurbished. And we found out today, as I was going through the ultrasonic cleaner, this is on the time side, it's missing not 1, but 2 lanyard pivots, or pinions. So I'm going to have to make those and install those into the gear. Now, in order to install those, I'm going to be using some raw bar stock. But first I need to make some measurements. So we're going to make some measurements of one of the pinions or pivots. So that is 0.04 thousandths of an inch. Okay. Now I do have raw bar stock here. This is just raw bar stock. I may have to cut it down and file it and put it in the lathe, but let's see what we have as our diameter. So this is 0.06 thousandths of an inch. So we need to remove about 2 thousandths of an inch in order to make the lanyard pinions, the pivots that go in here and here. The next step is on the great wheel here. It's missing the click spring that holds the click in place. That's a very dangerous piece. You do not want that to be missing. So I'm going to have to manufacture a click spring that will bend around and hook through these holes and lock it in place. This actually should go there, okay? But either way, we've already cleaned up the movement. The movement is now cleaned. We've already polished the pivots in the lathe. This is the warning wheel that was broke that we showed in the earlier video. We have now riveted into place onto the arbor and put it through the ultrasonic cleaner. Now this is the time side great wheel. And this is a piece of the broken spring that unwound and broke. Alright, so we're going to work on making the pivots for this. I'm going to show that in another video. But first, what we're going to do is go ahead and peg our movement before we put it into the ultrasonic. So we're going to use bamboo wood. And we're basically pegging. And as you can see, that is filthy dirty. We'll do this beforehand, and we'll also do this afterwards to be sure that everything is thoroughly cleaned. And then we will do the oiling and checking for bushings. So I'm just doing a quick little demonstration of what we're going to do, but I'll go through this much thoroughly. But this is the movement. It's a Waterbury, this is a steel movement. It's not a brass, it's a steel movement. Right now I do not see any bushings because as far as I can actually see, it's already had bushings. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on the back side. On the front side, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 bushings. Oh, and 8 right here. So, this is going to go into our ultrasonic cleaner, and we will clean it up. The next step is to make the verge for the escapement wheel. We're also going to cut and make a new suspension spring. And we're also going to make the new click spring for this one here. And then last but not least is make and cut the missing arbors or the pivot or pinions for the lanyard arbors. Oh, this is definitely a trial and error type clock. And the lady, not to sound bad, but she dropped this off about a week ago. She wanted it back within 2 days. And I told her, ma'am, just to get the mainspring in that was broke, it's going to take about a week to get in. To manufacture the parts that needs to be done. To make these pins and get everything in order and timed. Put everything back together, regulate it. It's going to take about 3 to 4 weeks. And she was like, I'm dying. I'm 85 years old. I don't have much time. I need it done in like 4 or 5 days. Can you do it? And I'm like, no. I hate to say it, but it's going to take at least 4 weeks, tops, minimum, to get this back in place. So we're on a time limit with this particular person because she wants to leave this to her son before she dies. Unfortunately, I just found out today she is terminally ill. And that's why she wants this done so quick. So I have had to stop a lot of the stuff that I am doing and concentrate on this. That's why I'm in the shop late tonight. I will be in the shop late tomorrow night. I have already been working on this movement today. The day is October 31st, Halloween. I've been working on this since 1 o'clock p.m. It is now 9:20 p.m. I'm going to be working on this till about 1 a.m. doing some final adjustments, reaming, and making the parts. And as soon as the mainspring comes in, then we will work on that. But I'm going to start cutting and making the suspension spring and making the crutch. And hopefully we can get this out to her within the next couple of days. But we're going to be working until the wee hours of the morning to get this up and going. And next is put this into the ultrasonic cleaner to get it cleaned. And then we will do the oiling. But yeah, stay tuned. If you need any antique clock or watch repair, come see me today at Campbell's Antique Clock and Watch Repair of Anderson, South Carolina. We are the state's #1 clock and watch repair. Have a wonderful evening and happy Halloween. Greetings everybody, Chris Campbell here in the clock shop tonight. So we're working on this Frankenstein of a clock. This one has been giving us the most fits ever. It's a kitchen clock. First we found that it had a broken mainspring, if you remember, in past videos. Then we found that it had broken gear that had come completely off from the arbor. We had 2 broken gears that had broken pivots. Then we had the hammer that was broke. The center post was bent for the time shaft. And then the levers were all bent out of whack, which is something that you never bend. And now we discovered another problem. So this is, and I just had my, here we go. So this is the gear for the time side. And we have here lanyard pinions on this. This is what the teeth of the gears ride into to work. Well, if we rotate it, you can see that there's 3 lanyard pinions missing. And at some point, somebody had silver soldered them in place and evidently did not do a good enough job. So now we've got to go ahead and fix that. So what we're going to do is go ahead and measure one of the pinions. That's right at 40 thousandths of an inch. Okay. Now I do have some raw bar round stock, as they call it. This is a gauge stock. And so let's see what this is. Ooh. 62 thousandths. So, oh man, that's a lot to remove. All right, I may have to go down a size. Let's see. And, all right. Oh yeah, perfect. 40 thousandths. That is what we're looking for. So we're going to go with this piece of bar stock. Now the first thing is first, we're going to ream out the hole in order to fit and make sure that it's clear. So I'm using a reamer on a pin vise. And since it's brass, it doesn't take much to open up the hole. Just a little bit of force is all you need. And there we go. So we're going to ream out that hole. Okay, and I'm bringing it up where you can actually see it. Now we're going to go to the next hole and do the exact same thing. Cutting just a little bit of the metal at a time. And there we go. We have now punctured through the top. Withdraw. And move to our 3rd hole. And we're now in. Okay. Alright, so we now have that opened up. So this is how you would repair a broken lanyard pinions. Because what happens is when these gears come in contact with that is what helps them rotate smoothly. And if you're missing them like this in 3, it's just going to skip. The gear's going to skip and turn around violently, and it's going to lock up and jam. And that can cause broken teeth of the actual wheel itself. and you do not want that. So we're going to repair this, and instead of silver soldering, we're going to do it right the first time. We're going to rivet the pin over the brass to lock in the little pins. But first, what I'm going to do is polish the pin. I'm going to cut it down to size, put it in my jeweler's lathe, polish it down, and put that in, and I'll show you how that works in the next video. So stay tuned. But that's what we're dealing with right there, as you can see. All right, so stay tuned. All right, everybody, Chris Campbell here. So we have our gear here, and we already have one of our pinions that we just cut. So this is the pivot that we just cut. And we're going to go ahead and install it into our wheel here. All right. And there we go. We now have our new pivot installed. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how we did this. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and take this camera and put it onto our jeweler's lathe. So stay tuned. All right, so we have our pivot here in the jeweler's lathe. And now what we're going to do is file it down. All right. And what we're going to do is take this out, get our wheel, and see how this one fits into the next hole. So, it fits a little tight, okay, so we need to do a little bit more work. So what we're going to do is go ahead and tighten it back up. Okay. And we'll stop it. Alright, so we now have our new pivot. And what we're going to do is find the hole. And that fits perfect. Alright, so what we're going to do now is trim it. And for that, what we're going to do is bring our pliers over and trim. All right. And we'll fit this into our new one, a new hole. Well, actually, this one goes to here. Okay, so we need a little trim, a little bit more. There we go. And now we're simply going to push this into the new hole. All right. Okay. So that is a good fit. And now we're going to do the rest to the other one. And I'll show you how to finish that up in just a moment. All right. So Chris Campbell back here in the shop tonight. So we now have finished the pinion. We have now cut the 3 broken pivots pinions. We have now installed them and riveted them back into place like they should be. So this should now match and mash up with the correct gear. And I'm hoping that you can see that. Alright, so that is how you repair a lanyard, pivots, or pinions of a gear. Alright, now on to the next step.